They got the regeneration, and the way they use spores as well. I mean, they didn't have to make an evolution chamber. They went for spores. Like Stephano just trying to defend against TLO's earlier Mutas was definitely one of the new features in Heart of the Swarm, where those spores do extra damage against those Mutas.
Out of all the matchups you've seen, actually, let me go ahead and introduce these players first. So up here in the top right, we do, of course, have Liquid's TLO, the only German left in the tournament after Soke's almost advancement yesterday. And down here, we do have the Frenchman, of course, e.g. Stephano. But going back to what I was going to say, out of all the matchups you've seen, you've played, you've casted, you've watched, which one do you think is the most similar to Wings of Liberty?
There's no one really, I think.
If there was going to be one, which resembles it the most, even if there are changes with Heart of the Swarm?
Maybe this one we just saw, because...
Well, not just the matchup. I mean, not just the maps and the games we've seen, but the matchups in general.
Yeah.
I think I'll give you a hint. I think, or give you my opinion. I think Zerg versus Zerg is the most similar out of all the matchups.
Yeah, I think I would agree.
Terran versus Terran, I think, is not too far away.
But in Zerg versus Zerg, in Wings of Liberty, it was a lot about those infestors, getting roaches, Hydralisk as well. Even if you open with Mutas, it was just a couple Mutas. Now it changed pretty much. You go for a lot of Mutas. If somebody wants to switch for infestors, he can, but it will not be nearly as strong as it was in Wings of Liberty. And could we see Vipers in ZVZ? No.
Not really. I think, especially with Roach Speed, the creep spread in the later game, if you use Blinding Cloud, for example, because you're not going to use Abduct. There's just too many Roach Hydras and stuff. It's never going to be a case.
Blinding Cloud?
Blinding Cloud, I think the problem with that would be is that the Zerg army may be too fast, and then you can get out of it. You can pull back, and you waste energy and therefore wasting supply.
Imagine melee Roaches and melee Hydralisk against the same thing.
That would be pretty silly, wouldn't it? I don't know, though, but...
They just headbutt each other.
The game's very much so unexplored to this point in terms of the depth of it, and I'm sure it'll evolve the more so we get into it. But right now, if we're looking at the openings of these two players, we do have Stephano taking a gas competitor, his opponent, who has not yet. Both of them are scouting that, so both have full information in Zerg versus Zerg, especially on this map, where the majority of players will go hatchery first, is that you can send your Overlord in and scout, does he have gas or not? So Stephano, upon going into TLO's base, Stephano now has an option. He can tech freely without worry of aggression. He can be aggressive himself. TLO, on the other hand, though, knows that those options are viable, and we're going to have to see how well does TLO set himself up. But a mineral-only playstyle from TLO gives him a much stronger economy. You know, better queens, more queens, creep spread, and much, much, much more focus on drone.
And you know, in the previous game, Stephano, he tried for some early aggression. He did not really achieve much at all. What does he do here? Do you think he goes again for this early aggression? This is Daybreak, so their play will be much more refined than on another map, because they've been playing this map for a very long time. They know where to place their buildings and how to defend.
Putting the mapping to consideration and the fact that he didn't achieve anything previously, I think we'll see a fast layer from Stephano. A pretty fast layer. Not super fast, but I think that's what... I don't expect a Baneling Nest to come down. I don't expect a Roach Warren to come down. I think he'll go fast layer and fast Mutalisks to look for an advantage in that regard, because upon seeing that TLO has limited, if not zero, options of aggression, what does Stephano need to be afraid of? You know, why does he need a Baneling Nest down unless he's going to be aggressive, which I don't think he's going to be. So I'd expect a layer to come down pretty fast here for Stephano.
Fair enough. And we see TLO going for 4 queens here. He's going to go for the double extractor in his main. And he's going to start getting a lot of gas just that moment. Oh, no, he's actually going for the Overlords. And, you know, I think a lot of the time when a Zerg does this, he will be doing some kind of aggression behind it, sometimes an all-in. But do you think there is a chance Stephano might expect that out of TLO right now?
I'm pretty sure that Stephano is expecting a clean, non-aggressive game from TLO here. Usually, when you open up with so much dedication to queens early on, and even though the creep spread's been displayed, the extra queens that have been displayed, that's just taken away too much time from any form of all-in aggression. So I think Stephano, upon seeing that third gas as well, and the way that there's a semi-war being constructed with the queens, he's feeling very confident. But it's not a super fast layer coming from Stephano. He got an evolution chamber down, and you know, whether depending on how much he's played Heart of the Swarm, maybe doesn't know that you don't need an evolution chamber for spore crawlers, but I doubt that's the thing. We see a very fast +1, and that is indicative of non-Mutalisk play. And with a fast third, he's going to be playing a Roach Hydra defense against possible Mutilus play here, but that's not the option we see from TLO either.
Yeah, TLO, he does not seem to want to rush his third base as opposed to Stephano, who really always tries to take it as soon as possible. He just makes it, if things go wrong, he can just cancel it and try to retake it later on. But I mean, TLO, he has not been putting enough pressure on that third base of Stephano in the previous game. He wasn't able to do the damage with his Mutas as there was spores everywhere. He wasn't able to split his Zerglings to really hit the economy of Stephano.
But look at what TLO's doing. His drone count's incredibly low. He's spread and creep with Overlords and Queens. I've seen this play from TLO before. He's going for this 2-base Roach speed, kind of all in, or not really all in, but I say all in, but it's much more of an aggressive play here very early on to capitalize on the fact that Stephano doesn't have that many Roaches out. But with 12 on the way here for Stephano, he's about to equal his opponent's Roaches. +1 is very much so around the corner. Stephano may lose drones here, but I don't think he's going to die to this.
And you know, TLO, he's on a very low drone count right now. He's on 37 to 46 of Stephano, so he's going to have more army, but this army is on the way for the most part. Yeah, and I like those 2 Queens here.
The 2 Queens transfusing and offering DPS and even tanking damage is massive here. I'm very surprised that Stephano isn't pulling drones. I think he needs to pull drones in this situation.
Yeah, he's not pulling drones right now. We're going to have Roaches against Roaches so far, and actually those Roaches are going pretty deep into the middle line. And Stephano is just going to send his drones away here.
Yeah, he sends his drones away because he has 13 Roaches coming out from the hatcheries any moment here. The drones get in here. How many drones is Stephano going to lose here is the big question.
8 so far. Doesn't look like it's going to be more, and Stephano has held this quite convincingly. Behind this, TLO, he has a backup plan. He has a plan B. He's going for Swarm Host. He's already upgrading Enduring Locust as well. So do you think he wants to turtle with those and take a third, or is he going to be pressuring anymore?
I think that you can't really turtle with them, unfortunately, because Roach speed is out. They're relatively slow. There will be Overseers coming out as well. And I don't think he has to play defensively with them, especially because he's only at 20 army supply right now compared to the amount of Roaches that Stephano has moving across the map. This is relatively dangerous for TLO to even stay in the game. Imagine right now if the Roaches run past the Swarm Host into the main base, they can target down anything. So it's going to be crucial that TLO doesn't allow run-bys to happen like that.
I think this is what we might see here. Look at this army size of Stephano. He has a lot of Roaches. We have only 2 Swarm Hosts out so far for TLO.
And +1 as well on these Roaches. And immediately, one Swarm Host just gets picked off a second one. TLO could actually just lose the game right here.
And great micro heal by Stephano. He's going to run in there, target fire units one by one. I think he wants to go for the run, but nice overseer. He was able to spot the Swarm Host at the ramp here.
Yeah, Swarm Hosts are just not that popular in Zerg versus Zerg. I'm surprised that TLO opted to do that. Maybe because he thought he was playing from a little bit too far behind in this game, but Stephano 2-0s TLO here in Group D, claiming his first Swift win. But an interesting game. I mean, it was a lot all over the place. If you look